Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Big Now. This your boy Bobby Hill. I have to say good afternoon, happy Friday to everybody. Hope you had a good day today. Hope those who having to work late or start second shift, third shift. Hope your day going good. Hope getting ready to go to work. Hope everything's okay. Excuse me. Hope you having a good conclusion to your week. Hope you get ready for the weekend. Right here in San Antonio, they getting ready for the Spurs. They love them around here. Every day it's getting more and more. I see it every day. They love this team here. I just told my lovely wife I'd like to give her a shout out. My lovely wife Sandra Yvette Hill. Like I said, she's the reason why I wouldn't be here without her. Here doing this without her. I say it every time. I'm just telling her how it was. It's so. I never experienced this. And it's amazing to see this, to see the support that they have with this team, especially. I told us that this is an experienced team. This team has won before. This is not a team that's like happy to be here because they, first time. No, they got rings. They got five of them. So they just been waiting to get back to it. And they got the play. You got the franchise player, Victor Wembanyama, and then they got a great supporting cast for him. So and then they're stepping up now. And it's good. They're playing like a complete team. Hopefully they can wrap this thing up tonight. So they can go ahead and get rest, so they can you have this fly away. This face have this matchup with OKC, with shaping up to be like a heavyweight boxing match, which probably will feel like probably the NBA Finals. You have Chet Holmgren versus Victor Wembanyama, two tall guys, not two big guys, two tall guys. So there's a little rivalry going on there, so that spices it up a little bit because the days of rivalry were far behind us. This generation now, probably the generation after Kobe Bryant, these players everybody want to get along with each other, be friends, and all that stuff. And I feel like that, in a sense, is taking away like the competitive edge of players and stuff. Everybody want to be friends. Nobody don't. After the day, they don't like each other. That's why they have a problem with, it's his money, he can do what he want. People all get mad calling him a clown because Dylan Brooks went to the Lakers game when they got swept and laughing at LeBron. I love it, shit. I like the days when you need some villains and some people that like, don't, everybody's not celebratory. Everybody is like, oh, LeBron, this is his 21st year. Nah, he got swept. Somebody going, that wants to then, dwell into that and be a rivalry and troll that. I have no problem with that. Have no problem with that. He ain't doing nothing, but he ain't doing that disrespectful. He ain't call out his name. He ain't disrespect his family or nothing. He just sitting there trolling. What's wrong with that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nowadays, like I said, we live in strange times. Things are crazy these days. Things are crazy these days. Got a damn crook for president who, first of all, and then all presidents, just for the full disclosure, always show the taxes. So he get up here, never shows his taxes. I always said it was under audit, and never any proof that he was audited. That was just a lie. Just so he can just say I'm not showing my taxes. So he never shows them. Then he sues the IRS for $10 billion. Then he get the right people in the IRS. Probably like I think the 10 billion was just a number, just whatever, just to have a headline. But that he was able to get his people in there and be like, hey, I dropped this suit, but give me 1.7 billion, $1.7 billion so I can put in a slush fund for all the people who were wrongly, they felt like they were targets of the Biden administration because they felt like the Biden administration weaponized the judicial system. Exactly what Trump doing right now. This is weaponizing the judicial system. There's nothing Joe Biden did to weaponize the judicial system. That was all Trump, but he's using that as a reason to give people, give his allies or people who supported him money. They're gonna give all them 1,600 people that ran up into the Capitol. They're gonna give them money. They're going to give them money. Think about that, taxpayers. You're gonna pay for the people that went up there to. You're gonna pay for the people that went up there and destroyed. Tried to ransack the Capitol. Tried to beat up police officers, murder police officers. So they went and beat up police officers, and you're gonna pay them money. This is the law and order party. This is the party who says they about law and order. They back the blue and all that. So people who killed the police officer, who attacked police officers, causing the death of a few. A couple of them committed suicide because of the mental stress of what happened. So these people here are going to get money from the government, from the IRS, from taxpayers. And this is what you voted for. The same guy who said in 2015 that he was going to drain the swamp. Like I said, he done brought, that he done filled the swamp and brought some more gators in there. And some more, brought the damn Loch Ness monster in there or something. It's terrible. It's just, this is sad. But the reason why this is happening because the Republican Party is enabling him to do that. They're scared of being primary. They're just scared of the aura of Trump. They're scared of the umbrella of Trump or the supporters. They're scared of him. I don't know why. Maybe Trump exposed before that, how the Republican Party never really had a leader. After George W. Bush, they never really had a leader, and Trump was able to come in and just take them over, just like it was. Just, they didn't have a leader because, whenever, when the Democrats brought up, they had Barack Obama, they had someone young and fresh and everything. The best they could bring up was John McCain, and he was, he was in his 80s, 70s. He was in his 70s then. So it's, but he sit here and tell y'all, and then he might say he done told y'all what he's gonna do. He knew what stuff he's gonna do. You know his track record. That's why this stuff is not surprising. It's sad that that the Republican Party is letting him do whatever he wants to do. That's the sad part about it. There's no checks and balances, and that was the thing about the government that made us different than other governments. That made us. Was supposedly what made, the system of government in America, United States of America, different than the other, because we had our checks and balances. One person or one branch of government couldn't control everything. But, Donald Trump has said, fuck checks and balances. Only checks and balance he worry about his own checks he write and the balance of his damn bank statement. That's all he cares about. That's all the checks and balances he care about. But that's the time we living in. That is the time we living in. Crazy time. Oh, here's another thing. This is sort of I was doing. I said we do DoorDash. So sometimes I'll be in the grocery store. Like I said, the grocery store around here is HEB. I just read it was the 5th largest privately owned company in the United States. It's Texas, just Texas. It's nowhere outside of Texas. It's Texas born, Texas bred. And they're everywhere too. They're very, very good company. But here's the thing, right? I went, the ones This one I go shopping to, like for on DoorDash. It's over here by the college. You know, the college, the big university over here is University of Texas at San Antonio. You know, they have a couple of them around. You know, the big one is actually UT Austin. That's the one. Excuse me, that's the Longhorns. So over here by UT San Antonio. You know, this and the store in there is predominantly, you know, be like, you know, it's a lot of, you know, white people, Hispanic people, you know, a little Asian. You know, point is there's very few people who look like me in there. You know, it's just this section of town is not. And I'm not trying to say anything bad. That's just the way it is sometimes. So what's funny is that you know, they have a ready. They play music on the. They play music over the speakers and stuff, and you know they play oldies now. You know, and this is you know, after it's funny because now I'm trying to we figure out, you know, we how we have aged. We have to come to grips to the fact that we're, you know, we the old heads now. I look in the mirror and see this every day and remind me. But another thing, like we be in the grocery store and they in the grocery store and you know, and the music they play is the music that we grew up with, like music we grew up with, like in the '80s, like music, a lot of music growing up in the '80s and stuff. You know, I remember one time I was in the damn, I was in the HEB plant. I was in the HEB, and the damn Cupid Shuffle came on. Oh my god! I almost started doing it, but I felt like a fool and like I almost started doing. I was there with my wife. It was I was just I was like, oh my god, they're playing Cupid Shuffle in here, and you know, I said that was okay. That was interesting. Nah, but the interesting one was today. It was funny. Like I said, there's a lot of. Then I probably was the only black person in there. Maybe one person, whatever. There was a lot of people in there. But it was a lot of older people in there. You know, like I said, older, maybe white people. You know, Hispanic people. Just you know, Asian. Just a lot of multicultures. A lot of people. Indian, just everybody. But the funny thing is, like I said, they play '80s music. They play all the '80s music. They play rap, everything. So how about you walking through the grocery store and you hear, you know, Melly Mel and you would say Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and all that, and you hear White Lines up here. And yes, they was playing, and that's funny because you know, I see people, you know, with family. You see, you know, family, people with kids and stuff walk, you know, man, you know, maybe a husband, wife, or the kids and stuff and everything, and all you hear was "Get higher, baby, get higher, baby, get higher, baby. It don't ever come down raw." I'm like, oh god, oh my god, I'm like, man, this is old school. I'm like, oh my god, times have changed. Times have changed. Like I said, some of the music that's come on, you know, it's very. And now I know how. I guess growing up when they would listen to old school music, that's the way the older generation would feel. The way I'm feeling now, like damn, I feel old now. This song we should consider old school. And damn, it's been that long. Yes, it's been that long. Been 40 years since some of them songs come out. You know, so yes, yes, yes. Just think about it, like you know, like the way like we listen to the songs now, they came out in the '80s, like '85 and stuff like that. It's 40 years, '86, 40 years ago. Like so, back in the '80s, that's be like them listen to a song that came out in the '40s. You know, listen to Ray Charles and shit. But yeah, it's you know, that's sort of funny. It's interesting. But I'm saying it's sort of you know, hearing different other songs and stuff be coming out, but that song was very interesting. That you know, talking about white lines, talking about cocaine, you know, family store. That was funny. That was interesting. But like I said, it's a crazy time we live in, man. Times are changing. You know, like I said, people. You know, there's Like I said, all you can do is hope, man. Hope that that we don't let all this corruption and negativity and stuff and all, and what people in power are trying to do to keep us divided. Man, I just hope that we can see through all that and we can come out on the other end. You know, because things gonna be different. Things ain't going back to where it was. Not after seeing this right here, because you know, hopefully, people in power will wake up and put guardrails to make sure nothing like this happen again. But the Republicans don't, especially ones up here, they don't see that. They don't want to do that because they thinking about the now. They don't know. What if there's a what's a Democrat version of Trump that comes in and there's nothing they can do to deal with it. There's nothing they can do to stop it. When they have a chance to prevent it again, they ain't gonna do it. Then you got the president over in China, the happiest person in the world, probably JD Vance, because he's probably sitting at home pretending to be president. He role playing now. Telling you, he probably got people as soon as Trump left. Not he ain't got on the damn tarmac yet to get on Air Force One. He probably have everybody in his house calling him Mr. President. From now on, till I say so, you refer to me as Mr. President, JD. JD President. For real. And he seemed like the type of person that would do that. It's over in the chat a little bit, just telling, whoever wants to come over, Lord, if you're here, if you want to come over, cut it up, holler at me, ask me a question. We can, whatever you want to know. Like I said, I always post, on Facebook before I go up here, if you got something, you want me to talk about or something you want me to ask, it's a question to ask me about it, ask me, you know, like I say, I'm very inclusive. I'm very, I'm accessible as far as people wanting to talk or whatever wanting to say. Got something that want to be said. We can make it happen. Definitely gonna try to make it happen. I ain't gonna try. I am gonna make it happen. So we sitting up here. I might sit up here in the dog days of summer. Not yet. Dog days of summer, not yet. But just the NBA is going on now, and after the NBA, people don't mess with baseball. Don't hit like it used to no more, and for whatever reason, I think it's because it's just a long. The games are long, and it's hot out there, man. It's hard to ask people to sit out here in this hot ass sun for 3 hours, man. Watching. If you got a great pitcher, you want to sit there and watch a damn pitcher throw a ball for 3 hours. It's hard, man. It's hard. It's difficult. Unless you playing pitcher and catcher, man, if you got a good pitcher, your outfield, you just sitting out there. It's a tough sport. Like I said, it was my first love, but it's a tough sport now, man. It's just tough to ask, especially be hot as hell out, man. It's tough to have these people out here. It's grinding. That's a grind to make it to the major league. That's the hardest one to make it to, because you got to go through so much. You start in the bottom and then have to work your way up. You know, very few get to go straight to the major. Very, very few. Most of them have to hit the minor league for a little bit. Hmm. But yeah, I hope I hope y'all got whatever. I hope people have plans for this weekend. I hope the weather's gonna be nice where you at. It's gonna be. I think it's supposed to be okay. I think it might get some more rain this weekend, maybe Sunday. Or probably the beginning of the week, Monday. Make sure it don't rain though. History, throughout history, whatever, it hasn't rained too much around here. But now it seems like the past couple weeks, past few months, it's been getting a little bit of rain. That's good. You know, it gets dry here. Believe it. You see the picture. You think of when you're not from Texas, you think of Texas as the lonely town with a few buildings with the desert and the tumbleweed rolling across the road. That's what it's part of. I've been through it. That is real. That damn town, no damn town, them towns exist. They really have. I've been through them in daytime and night. You know, yes, they really do exist. The tumbleweed and everything. You got those scorpions out there. Especially out in West Texas, out there where they do the oil, out there like Odessa, Midland, the main towns in the movie Friday Night Lights, Odessa, Midland, and all them out there. It's just straight, it's no green out there, straight dirt, desert. So much dirt, it seems like there's a cloud of dust. If you coming up from the fall, you coming up and you can see it in the background. You see the town, and you see like a cloud of dust around them. There's so much dirt around there, and it's everywhere. Yes, it's like that. So like I said, we just try to say me and my wife probably just relax. We're gonna watch the game. Like I said, try to it's good. She's decided. She turned on to watching the Spurs. She's felt. I mean, she's following it. Like she had a job. They had to at her job they had to. They wanted to wear Spurs shirts. They had to wear Spurs shirts. My wife didn't have one, so just today. Tried to find one last night, but I'm tired. We didn't feel like going one last night. I mean, you get that age once you get home. All right, you ain't trying to go nowhere unless it's an emergency. So we ain't feel like riding around looking for a damn Spurs shirt. So today, this morning, she's telling me, I was like, look, I'm gonna find one. I'm gonna find one. So, I was working a little bit, then I went on break, and I'm like, look, I'm about to I'm gonna try to find. I drove, to like 20 minutes. No, like 20, 25 minutes to the other side of town, to get, to see if they had them available right then. They weren't available. So I came back and went to Academy. They had they weren't impressive. Plus they were like $44 and the shirts weren't impressive. So I'm like, nah, it was okay. So we went to this other place, this other like it's a mall, but it's like an older mall. But they'll still have vendors and stuff there. So I was able to find a nice Spurs shirt for her with Wembyama on it and everything because she likes Wembyama. So she really liked it. I told her, I said, you know I love you. I could had a damn scavenger hunt for a damn Spurs shirt. So yeah, hey, that's things you do sometimes. That's things you do. That's married life. That's how it happens. You know, you gotta do that. Find yourself doing stuff like going on scavenger hunts for one item. Yeah, and you sit here. Normally, anybody else you want to do it for, but it's your wife, man. You sit here. I got to. Once I started I was already, and it took an hour out of my time. I said, look, I'm not going, once it was down, I was like, look, I'm not giving up until I find a shirt. And I'm going to put this much time in it. So, damn it, I'm going to find one. Finally, like I said, find one reasonable, nice lady selling shirts. Might go back and get some more. She had Spurs. Told my wife she had Spurs earrings, Spurs bracelets, and everything. So we might go back and you know get some more things from her. But yeah, it was very nice. It was nice. hmm It was very nice. Then it's like for the most part, like I said, I like being around. Like I said, I like being around here in this area. I like being around South Texas. I'm glad I'm not in Houston. Not in Houston. I'm just glad I'm not. That's a big place. A lot going on in Houston. I'm glad I'm not there. Glad didn't want to deal with Dallas. I would go visit Dallas or go, but no, I won't, I'm glad, in San Antonio, nice, nice place, nice place. I just wish I can get some I wish I can get some people to come down just to visit. It's very, like I said, they'll love it down here. Nice vibe down here, nice, relaxed atmosphere. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a city, so there's some craziness around here. Every city in America, there's some craziness now. Don't get me wrong. You got your crazy drivers, you got accidents all the time, construction, shit always going, stuff going on every time, everywhere. But for the most part, but it's a nice vibe around here, man. It's nothing, craziness around here. As far as it's not so crazy where you can't come outside or you can't, walk through your neighborhood and stuff like that. It's okay around here. I like it. I really like it. So I have a hopefully next, no, I think next week or week after, you know, the stepson has a girlfriend and she would like for us to come to her graduation. And we're gonna end up going there. And it's in Astrodome. So I never been to the Astrodome before, so I'm looking forward to doing that just to going in there. So that'll be a good thing because it's right there downtown, right next to the Towers of America. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, and the two Towers of America, and it's still they still have the Spurs don't play there no more. They have the concerts. I think they had the Final Four there last year. I think last year, the year before last, I think they had the Final Four there. Then they had the women's Final Four there. Sometimes just a lot of things going. I think UTSA play there. You still have football. One thing at one time, I think the Army Navy School All American football game was played at one time too. It might still be playing. I don't know. Unless Jerry World done took it from him. But yeah, I think it's still. I think it was there at one time. So yeah, like I said, it's a nice place. You hear me talk about it a lot up here. I always bring it because no, I'm just glad glad I'm here. Glad I'm out of North Carolina. No offense. I mean, nothing against North Carolina. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful state. I'm from there and stuff. But me personally, I'm just glad I'm there in a different environment. I felt like, there was more, I felt like I would live a better life if I was in another area of this country. I'm glad I chose to come to San Antonio. I'm glad to just be able to, live life, and with, have a partner here that's willing to, put up with you. You gotta find somebody to put up with you because everybody got some shit with them. Everybody, you too. Everybody got shit with you. Even you that don't think you don't got it, yeah, you got it. You know, remember this? You should have meme all the time. They said they don't tell. I don't care how fine a woman is. There's a man there. There's a man out here in this world who's tired of her shit. So everybody got some shit with her. So she able to put up with my. She be able to put up with my shit. So we able to like I said, we able to communicate. We able to vibe and stuff. We be on the same wavelength. If something is wrong, I can feel it, or something wrong with me, she can feel it. We can look at each other. We know how we react. We know our patterns and stuff. So and just like I said, just is everything perfect? Nah, we argue, we get in. We get mad sometimes. We go about our corners and we come back, and work at it. So yeah, but yeah, it's good. Like I said, but we say every time it's happy we down. We happy we in San Antonio because we like being here. It's beautiful. Trying to go downtown eventually to go on that horse and carriage. We're gonna dress up, take some pictures, get on the horse and carriage downtown and stuff. That's what we want to do. When we do, we're gonna let everybody know. We might be like, we might go live from there, maybe. It depends. I don't know. More likely we will. Probably go on the probably try to. I'm gonna go on the river walk too. Go on the little. They got a boat. Boat to go around the river. Thinking about doing that too. So just enjoying what stuff that we have. They have, stuff they have up there because they got a lot of stuff to do. I've been to the zoo. They got the zoo, Six Flags. They got SeaWorld and stuff. So so I'm trying to. I know the prices because of the world we live in, man. It's crazy ass president, man. Because of his foolishness, he's causing transportation prices to go up. So it's hard for people to fly now. Gas so high, people. It's hard for them to make long trips and stuff. So hopefully, when this stuff calm down, try to get my baby girl here, Victoria, so we can get her to come back and experience some of the things around here that she didn't get to experience the first time. So that's one of the hopes I have in the future to get her down here. Let her see that there's more to life than the world she has now. The world's a lot bigger than that. And I want her to experience that and not be stuck in that small town mentality. She can do great things if she can just get out of there and see. Like there's a lot of things out here for her. So that's my goal. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm working on. It's a project. It's a project, but I'm willing to put in the work. So yes. I hope y'all, like I said, I hope y'all enjoy y'all Friday. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday. And I hope you have a great weekend. I hope y'all have fun. Whatever you're doing, cooking out, whatever. Enjoying the summer, going to the beach, enjoying the sun or whatever, man. Just enjoy yourself and be safe out here, man. Just don't, just remember, man. Just try to make it. Just make it through the day, man. Make it through the day. You know, think whatever it is not that serious, man. It's not worth. It's not worth that altercation. It's not worth getting the last word. It's not worth all that, man. Not worth proving that you're not the way somebody says you are. You know, it's not about not being a punk. It's not about all that stuff, man. It's about living your life, surviving, and having a future. That's what it's about. You know. I'm saying, all right. Thank y'all for being here today. We're gonna try to do this. Depends on how this thing go tomorrow. We'll see where we at. Man, I might, might pop in with a show this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. You do, I do. If I do, the way I normally do, I post it. See, I'm on deck. About 15 minutes later, I'm up there. Well, we'll see. I'd like to thank y'all for being here. I hope y'all have a great weekend. We do, like I said, we do this thing 4 times, at least 4 times. We try to do it. I hope I can do it every day of the week, Monday through Friday, but, try to do at least about 4 times. Glad y'all sit here and vibe with me. We're gonna keep doing this thing and see where we go. I got love for all my day ones. I got love for everybody out here who decided to come listen to me or watch me. It's greatly appreciated. When you go to my page, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notifications, let you know when I'm going live, or let you know when I drop the video afterwards. Like I say, after every show, you kiss your kids and kiss your loved ones because you never know. You never know. It might be the last one. I'd like to thank y'all. I love y'all, and I will see y'all later.